Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. I am sharing.
The first one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kindly go ahead. Sir, please go ahead.
Just my presentation of the deliberation, it is not like because it is not based on the research. It is simply my observation of the profession. I saw for almost 130 years in the state and cities. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it audible? Then I
Yes, sir.
worked
Please
as a
go
field
ahead.
veterinarian. I worked as a field veterinarian, mostly field veterinarian for almost 20 years.
Actually, sir,
There is some network issue, sir.
yes, network issue is there. Actually, sir, you can shift to a certain place in your home or actually, we are very sorry that we are not able to this communication because of certain communication
Hello,
issue.
Dr. Ranjan. Is it now audible? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Now it is
Dr.
audible.
Ranjan.
You
Is
can
it
go ahead.
audible now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go
Audible?
ahead, sir. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Once again, I start that my presentation, it is not like the presentation by Dr. Santi, because it is not based on research. It is only based on my experience and the observation of the profession for last 38 years as a field veterinarian, and my association with the administration in the State Department of Animal Resource Development, and my association with training, my association with the Frozen this production unit, and particular training associated with the reproductive failure in the female bovine, and some experience in managing a 100-acre product farm and a small this layer unit, and also dual purpose bird unit as a field veterinarian almost in the 90s. And but we do have a great legacy, I can say, or also great heritage. This as Indian, so far this animal husbandry and the veterinary science is concerned. May I request Dr. Mahanta to share the next the slide? Okay. But if you look to this our this rich heritage, look to this one Vedic period, this one Rig Vedic period of this one 1500 to 1000 BC. This cattle husbandry is very nicely mentioned in that Veda. And if we look to the Mahabharata around this 1000 BC, this Nakul, this Sahadev, and the Lord Krishna, they do have expertise in animal husbandry and treatment of animals. In Atharva Veda, animal and hormonal medicines are explained in detail. If we look to this one Sushruta Samhita, that puts the basics of veterinary practice in India. The Kautilya, in his Arthashastra, during the it explains that how this animal husbandry is a means of a livelihood. And Ashoka, the great emperor, around 3000 BC, he first established the veterinary hospital that is to the first of its kind in the world. So this is our rich heritage so far animal husbandry and veterinary services are concerned. If you believe that a Kamadhanu, there was a cow yielding too much of milk, that is our pride. And probably it is true also, because we do have a number of indigenous breeds, particularly like this Saiwal and the Gir, they're good milk spreads. If we look to our this Himalayan region, this Gujars, these vegetarian Muslims, they do have the best type of buffalo in that region, with not much veterinary intervention. It means in this part of the world, the people applied their wisdom to domesticate and improve the animal for the purpose of food, draft power, and this also the companion animals. If you look at the domestication part, the dog was domesticated. So this is a rich heritage. So we should feel very proud of this. And we veterinarians, at present, we handle one of the most widely used biotechnology on earth, that is artificial insemination, a tool to improve the local cattle and buffalo, particularly under our context. Of course, it can be used to improve the pig, improve the horse, it can improve the companion animals. But particularly in this country, we are using this tool to develop our cattle and buffalo. And we do have the diversity of food animals, particularly this cattle, the sheep, and goat. And but we should feel proud and privileged that we are veterinarians, and we carry this legacy, and we should move ahead. Next slide. Can you go to the next slide, Dr. Mahant? Hello. Next slide. Hello.
Yes, sir.
If we'll go to
this is the job slide, sir.
Okay, nice. Okay. So this veterinary education in India, particularly, it is very broad-based veterinary education. The curricula is being revised very often to likely that just like the engineers, that engineering curricula in the different universities, they're updating to make them industry ready, to keep them industry ready. Likely, our curricula is updated and is very broad-based, and that provides us the opportunity to get jobs in the state, animal departments, and government of India. Just to take care of animal health, could be improving the livestock, could be the allied issues. And with this broad-based education and a good curricula at the graduation level, also at the post-graduation level, and at the doctoral level also, that enables us to join as faculty members in the state universities and animal science universities. And we are just ready to join the pharmaceutical industry. To join, we can just join both their R&D and so also their promotion of their products. And also we can participate in the biological product institutes, just in the manufacturing and R&D of vaccines of both animal and human use. And we can just join the feed manufacturing units and this dairy appliances or equipments, the manufacturing units, and just contribute in that sector too. And just as like Dr. Santibhushan, we can join also the institutes engaged in basic research of pharmacology, microbiology, the molecular biology, genetics, immunology, and so on. So where particularly this enriched curricula, that enables us And that makes us precisely more relevant to various fields. And so also, when we are joining the military services, paramilitary services, and this in the private sector, we are joining some this livestock breeding farms, and particularly in the poultry sector also, the breeding farms. Then and we are privileged to join also this marketing organizations, the marketing concerned with the livestock products, this dairy products, the poultry products, could be the feed, could be this biologicals, could be this pharmaceuticals, and over and above all this, we are also we can also join civil service. Particularly, I don't refer to some of the services veterinarians opted in the past, could be a marketing inspector. Because why we aspire to join the civil service? Because the job is very much dynamic. We can bring in dynamism to our job, and we can solve this society better. Because it is not that all the veterinarian will aspire to sit in the lab and do research like Dr. Santi or like Dr. Mahanto. So some of the veterinarians, they should volunteer to serve in the capacity as a policy maker, and also as influencing policy, so that we can also solve the profession the better, solve this sector better. But in addition to it, also the veterinarians, they're well qualified, and particularly the biological science, they can also they can just start their own this educational institution. Could be this says giving support to students those are preparing for this exams like NEET and the allied areas. Apart from all this, if we are so highly educated, why not we just go for the entrepreneurship? Be an entrepreneur. Don't run after this the government job. Provide employment to others. Provide ensure food security. Augment this livestock production. So veterinarians are privileged. They do have very strong, this broad-based education to join them the various sectors and sort them, starting from this treating animals to manufacturing vaccine, serving in military and paramilitary forces. And rightly, Dr. Mahanto said, also joining the UN peacekeeping force. Very diverse area of this, the fields we are relevant to. Not that that we are not fit, that our curricula makes us relevant to and fit to serve in various sectors. Next slide, please. Already I've completed it, I believe. Next one. Next slide, please. You see this in this slide, there is a photograph that this James Harlan Still is a very well-known veterinarian in United States. People call him the father of veterinary public health. He was a very effective member of CDC. He was he survived for 100 years. The longevity 100 years, and he was our what I can say that the ambassador of this profession in United States. Not only in India, but elsewhere in the world, also the medicos, they just look at us that what these veterinarians can do. But this veterinarian, this James Harlan Still, who passed away in 2013, is a role model. We should try to follow him and to see that the profession is marching ahead. If we look to the responsibility of the veterinarians, this is the first one is the protect and conserve the livestock resources. Development comes later on. Whatever livestock we have to protect it and we have to conserve it. and we should put all effort to derive the best out of it. That could begin with this one treatment, immunization, the management, and so some of these measures, if any species is endangered, something like that. And the livestock improvement through human intervention. I say through human intervention. I told earlier that this one Himalayan Gujars, they do have the best type of buffalo in that region. They are vegetarian Muslims. Probably their food habit that motivated them to develop this dairy animal. And they do not know much of veterinary science, much of genetics and breeding, but what they know, that what is good for them. And they could probably, they adapted a very nice selective breeding, and they could develop the most, the quality buffaloes in that region. They're quite hardy, they're quite disease resistant, and also productive. Apart from this, that as I said earlier, that we veterinarians, what we do, we just handle one of the most widely used biotechnology on earth, that is artificial insemination, a tool to improve cattle and buffalo in this part of the world. So, so these are the interventions. With this, we can see that our animals are improving. It means that genetic makeup is when progressing. If we provide them adequate environment, then naturally the production will go up. Apart from this, as a veterinarian, as you deal with the food animals and the companion animals, and we have to just see the safety of the livestock products, because we deal with some this medicines to treat this food animals. We must look to the sanitary measures, that the residue is huge, and the possible contaminations. So we do have also a major role in ensuring the safe livestock products for the society. And it not only we just this protect whatever the existing stock and conserve it and improve it, also we promote that livestock development as a means of livelihood to augment this rural or the peri-urban household income, just to bring in a improvement in the quality of life. Over and above all this, just when a control zoonosis, it is not an isolated work nowadays. The One Health, this concept has come. We should be very active, rather I say proactive, in pursuing One Health concept to make the world a safe place to live. And this development, it should be sustainable and eco-friendly. Unless it is sustainable and eco-friendly, the resources will be devastated. And particularly, if you look to dairy production, people say that these dairy animals, they put too many animals. Of course, with this one paddy land, this marshy area, they're producing enough and enough methane in Asia, and that is a contributing factor to global warming. So why should we wait that a program should come that just to mitigate the global warming and some guidelines we framed? It is not like that. We veterinarians, we are knowledgeable. We can bring in some changes in the management practices to reduce this production of methane. So also when we look to the sustainable development, but we must also put emphasis on the carrying capacity of the land. And unfortunately, at times we pursue development initiatives that is not on the right direction, and it is not that productive. And at times people, they don't take sustained interest in that activity. See, for example, this one of the example is that suppose we are just immunizing the animals, the existing stock, I would say the buffaloes particularly, and we are deworming, we are going for massive deworming of the animals. What it does, it reduces the mortality of the animals, but at the same time, we never put much effort to improve the nutrition and management. So ultimately what happens, it is my personal experience as a field veterinarian in Ganjam, that once this herd size increases and this depleting the resource property like the grazing land, naturally the availability of nutrient decreases. So the animal performance decreases. Undoubtedly the herd size increases as the mortality it is reduced by the immunization and the deworming. So we have to be very careful. I can tell you one just case study in the low-lying plains of Africa, that the once government decided to bring in improvement in the living conditions of people by improving animal. What they did, they just controlled the disease by vaccination, and the pastures were treated to reduce the parasite burden. Ultimately, what happened? This mortality reduced. The purpose of the government was to sell beef in Europe and to fetch money to feed the people in that region. But the population was on the rising trend, and the common resource property that remains constant. Naturally, the availability of the nutrient was also animal reduced, and so what happened? Then carcass quality, it is also not on the one good side. So it is not that good. So who is going to buy the poor carcass in Europe? So that development initiative, with all good intention, that became counterproductive. So naturally, when there is no perfect this one a good buyer for that poor quality carcass in the other part of the world, so naturally the local population, it was no rising trend. What they did, they attacked the nearby crop fields. So a development initiative to bring in improvement in the quality of the life of the people became a burden on them, because whatsoever crop they raise, also this grazing, this stray cattle, they eat away all this, a part of it. So whenever we pursue any development initiative, we should just focus that how best it is going to achieve its maximum this effect. Particularly, I can just focus another area, that could be this backyard poultry. Backyard poultry, you see, the backyard poultry, the birds which are not that smart like the